Welcome back to the Fuji Guys channel. My name is Francis. So you've just got yourself a FUJIFILM X half and you'd like to know a little bit more about the features and how to operate it. Well, you came to the right place, so keep on watching. All right, so first let's put in the battery and the memory card. So underneath we have our battery door. We can put the battery in just like that. And then we can insert our SD card this way, push it all the way in, and here we go. Now, usually one of the first things you like to do is to go into the menu. So I'll just swipe to the left and then go to my user setting and then format my card. This will ask me if I want to erase all data. Make sure you have saved all photos that you had on the SD card itself, and then you can press OK. Now we're good to go. Now we can make sure that our date and time is good. So 11/10, that's correct. And then 2025, 6/19, that's correct. And then our time zone is also correct, whether I want it to have in 24-hour format or AM, PM. And then just like that, I'm ready to start shooting. So the FUJIFILM X half is a touch-based, navigation style of camera. So the way I go about it is if I want to access the menus, I can go and then swipe to the left, and then I get into my menus, and then you can see the sub monitor will allow me to go into the various menu sections. And then on the main screen, I can also just swipe like that. So swiping to the left will bring the menu. Now if I swipe down, it will bring me to the pairing or the film camera mode. If I swipe to the right, it will bring me to my film simulation or filter settings. And then if I swipe up, it will give me an overview of all of my settings. And then I can go on and tap on the screen to get into the various sections of that menu. So autofocus, I can choose right here and then back. And then lastly, if I go onto the sub monitor again, when I'm in the shooting mode, I have my film simulations or filters, and then I can simply swipe to go between all of them. Now, I do want to give you a tip. I personally have the habit of starting to slide from outside, and then sometimes it'll work, but if you want to make sure that it always works, start on the screen and then swipe to the direction you want to. Same thing with the sub monitor, start on it and then swipe. Now to further go into details about LCD options, then I can go down onto the wrench icon and then go to screen setup, and then I can choose the various options here. So if I want the eye sensor to be turned on so that when I bring it up to my eye, it does turn off the LCD or always stays on. It's up to you. The LED indicator, the brightness of the LCDs, and then if you want to see your images after you take them, so you can choose to display them continuously, have them show up for 0.5 seconds or 1.5 seconds. I personally like to turn it off. And then you can choose whether you want to have your electronic level on the LCD. I like to turn that on personally. You have options like framing guideline, your mic level displays, the location information if you want it on. So that's how you go about customizing your LCD. Now let's talk about exposure settings. So if I want to change the aperture on the FUJIFILM X half, I will simply go and then change the aperture using the aperture ring at the front around the lens. If I want to change my ISO, I can tap on the screen and then you can see the ISO section, and then I can swipe and then choose the value I want. I can keep going, and then you can choose your auto positions as well, which have presets from the minimum ISO to the maximum ISO we want to accept. Now, if I want to change my shutter speed, I will simply click onto the shutter speed section, And then again, I can do the same thing, just scroll by swiping and then get to the desired value. So that's how I adjust, my exposure settings, so ISO, shutter speed, and aperture on the manual mode. Now, if I want to have a full auto or a semi-auto, so a priority setting, I can do so as well. It's very simple. So I can simply swipe up the screen, and then you see where I have the M for manual. I can tap on it, and then I can choose whether I want program auto exposure, which is auto, shutter priority, aperture priority, or full manual. Now, personally, I love shooting in aperture priority, so that's what I'm choosing. And then at that point, I can only select my ISO, which I set to auto, or you can, again, set a desired value, and then I will be able to choose my aperture since I'm in aperture priority, and then the camera will determine the shutter speed. Now, on the top of the camera, I do have this exposure compensation dial, which is very useful if I want to have my image a little bit brighter or a lot brighter, or a little bit darker or a lot darker. So I can quickly access these 3 stops of over or under exposure right at my fingertips. Now, alternatively, you can select your shooting mode into the standard menu in the shooting section where you have your exposure mode, and then you can click and access that same screen. I just find it to be a little bit faster on the other screen. Now, the Fujifilm X features 13 film simulations, which are amazing, but it also features some filters as well. How you go about, changing them. So first of all, on the sub monitor, you do have, whether it's the film simulation or the filters that you have enabled, so you can swipe through the various options. But if I wanted to go from film simulation to the filters, I simply have to swipe to the right, and then I can choose whether I want the filters or the film simulations. And then again, if I go back into that menu, I can choose for both the photo side of things as well as the video side of things. So I can use the film simulation and the filters on the video side as well. So if I go into the, again, still section, I choose filter, and now you can see on the sub monitor, I can navigate through the various options of filters. Now, if you ask me, my personal favorite would have to be the expired film, which I'm gonna go and find right now, with the neutral preset. And then personally, when I like to shoot the expired film, I like to push my film to +1. Just like real film, when it's expired, you tend to have to overexpose it, because if you expose it to the right, proper exposure, it always tends to be a little bit under. So it behaves in a similar manner. So I like to push it up to +1, maybe even, +1.6 in that occasion. That will give me nice results. Now, with the filters and the film simulation, you can pair with a couple of options for the image quality. So if I go to the image quality setting, I can go and add some grain. So I can add weak, strong, and then I can choose the size of it, so small or large. Personally, I prefer the small size and the roughness, as it's called, to be weak. And then you also have other settings in there, like white balance. So that's how you go about using the film simulations as well as the filters. Now, one of the standout features of the Fujifilm X is the 2-in-1 feature. So this is a feature I really like to tell a story or just to be creative. So I'm going to show you how to enable that feature using the X. So in the shooting mode, you simply go about taking a photo. So I'm just going to shoot a selfie. And then after you're done taking that first photo, you simply have to crank, the frame advance lever, and then you saw that little animation that shows that you've enabled the 2-in-1 feature. Now, another neat thing is that if you keep going and you want to revise or confirm, I guess, the photo you've taken before, you can push on that lever and it will display the image taken before. Now, alternatively, if you wanted to cancel the 2-in-1 feature, you can crank, the frame advance lever once again, and it will disengage the 2-in-1 feature. But I can enable it again by cranking it again. And then I can go about and then taking my second photo. And then you'll see the camera will be processing the image, the 2-in-1 image, and then I can play back, and then I can see that I have my 2-in-1 photo. And then one neat thing is that you also get a separate image of both of them. So you will have them as, single frames after the fact. Now you can customize the 2-in-1 in the way that it looks. And there's a couple of things that you can customize. So you simply have to swipe again to the left, and then you can go into the wrench icon and then to custom settings. So concerning the 2-in-1 features are going to be our two first options, and then technically the third one as well. You have your dividing lines setting, so you can choose the color, you can choose the width, so narrow, regular, or bold, and you can choose the type as well. So you have 4 different types of dividing line. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they're all different. I personally like the number 2, which is just slightly blurry. This is my personal favorite. I like to have it, regular, and then the color, I prefer it to be black personally. Now you also have the 2-in-1, the shooting order, so which image comes first. Personally, the one that makes sense to me is the left to right, so the first one and then, the second one. But you could have that reversed if you wanted that. So personally, I like, left to right. And then lastly, I can choose whether I want the date stamp to be on or off. So that will be for the 2-in-1, but also for all images. And then I can choose that for the photo side of things as well as the video side of things as well. So on the side of the camera, we do have an LED button. So if you are on the photo mode, it will, engage the flash. And if you go on to the movie mode, it will turn on continuously, so you have some light, for your video, which is quite neat if you ask me. Now I can turn it off simply by pulling down on that switch right here. Now let's talk a little bit about the video features. So I swipe again to the left, and then I go into the movie setting. So I can choose the exposure mode that I want to use for videos. Personally, I think, having it manual all the time is the best, but you can choose if you want it full auto for just not worrying about settings, just, aiming and then capturing what you need to capture. You can certainly do so. Now you can shoot slow motion videos, so you can go with 120% slow motion, 150% slow motion, or 200% slow motion. So basically extra slow, dramatic, slow motion. So for now, I'll leave it off. You can choose your bit rate. So if you want to have a smaller bit rate to have smaller file size, you can definitely choose the lower option if you want to transfer it easily and fast to your smartphone. But if you wanted more quality, you can go up 20 megabits per second or 50 megabits per second. You can choose your file format. So we have the choice between MP4 and MOV. I personally prefer MOV. You have the self-timer option on the video as well, a countdown for 3, 5, or 10 seconds. So that gives you time to, get into the frame. Next, you have your red frame indicator. So whenever you start recording, you have a red border, around the screen indicating that you are recording. So I'll give you an example right now. I pressed the shutter, it started recording, and then as you can see around the frame, it is red, indicating that it is recording. So it's an easy indicator when you're, trying to make sure you're recording or not. And then lastly, I have my tally light, which is this light right here. And then I can choose whether I want it flashing or continuous. So I will show you an example having it flashing. So when I start recording, you will see that my tally light right here is blinking, telling me that I am recording. Now on the side of the camera, I do have a USB-C port right here, which can be used to transfer images for charging, but also to monitor audio. So if I plug in the included headphone adapter, which is USB-C to 3.5 millimeter, I can then connect some headphones. And then this will be used for listening to the playback. Basically, when I press play, I can hear through my headphones, the sound from the video. And then I do want to specify that this will not be used for live monitoring. This is really for playback. When you're playing your videos back, you can listen through your headphones using this headphone adapter. So what's the film camera mode? It's basically the camera display will go and then give you a display of information about the settings, the focusing distances, but you don't get, a live view on the screen. As you can see right now, you'll only be able to frame your images using the optical viewfinder, right? And then every time you take a photo, you need to crank the frame advance lever to move on to the next frame. So how do you go about enabling the film camera mode? Well, first of all, I would suggest you choose the filter you want to use or the film simulation, because that's going to be used throughout the roll, right? So I'm going to choose the retro one, let's say for this one, right? And now I go and then swipe down on the screen, and then I can choose film camera mode. Now it's telling me that if the SD card or the battery is removed while in the film camera mode, the mode will be forced to exit. So it'll basically cut short your roll. So I click OK. Now I'm into my initial setup for my film camera mode. So I choose the number of shots I want to be shooting. I choose whether I want the date stamp to be on, and then I choose my exposure mode. So I can click, I can have aperture priority or auto. So I prefer the aperture priority personally, and then I can just go and press start. Now you have those very neat displays. So on the sub monitor, you can see your filter or film simulation that you have. You can see whether the date stamp is on or off. You can click to toggle it. You have, the frame at which you're at, if the camera's ready to be shooting. So if you crank it, it'll be displaying an OK. You have your date shown, the battery indicator, your aperture. So if I go and change it, you can see it change right here. You have the number of exposures before you get to the end of the roll. And then you choose whether you are in autofocus or manual focus. So I can click there and then toggle between, and then manually set, my focus distance by tapping on the screen. So now I can go and take a photo, and then after I'm done taking that photo, you will see the camera blinking. And then if I want to go on and be ready for the next photo, as you can see, the little OK is not displayed. I need to crank the frame advance lever, and then you can see I have the film and then the OK message. So I can go and then shoot my other photo. Now, if I don't crank the frame advance lever, you will see the light blinking and then the OK flashing, meaning you need to crank the film advance lever. So you just go about and then shoot your photos. And if you wanted to cut the roll short, you can double tap on the sub monitor and then choose ending mid-roll. Once finished, it is now possible to continue shooting. So you can click OK, and then it'll rewind your film, and then you'll be able to get back to the standard shooting mode. All right, so now let's pair our FUJIFILM X half to the X half app. So on my phone, I did download the X app. So on my phone, I did download the X So on my phone, I did download the X-Half app, and then I want to go and then pair the camera. So what I'm going to do is that I'm simply going to press on that, menu right here, pair with a camera, and then on my X-Half, I will swipe down and go to pairing. Now it will be searching for the phone, and then just like that, you can see that my pairing is complete. Now I can press OK. I can choose if I want to allow access for the location, which I personally want to. I love being able to have geotagged image. I can choose keep only while using or change to always allow. And then here I am into my Fujifilm X Half app. So I have some images already, and then I can do a couple of things at that point. So I can go and transfer my film camera mode rolls. So that's what we'll start by doing, right? So let's go in and then to click on to connect. Now I'm going to click next. I'm going to allow, confirm. Now you can see the phone and the camera are talking to each other. I'm connecting. And then you can see that I'm connected to my X-Half. Now I can choose whether I want to transfer single images or film, basically from the film camera mode. So I'm going to go and transfer film images. I did shoot a roll before. So you can see developed and then non-developed filmed. So I can go in and click on it so I can transfer it. Now this film was not shot completely, but it's just to give you an idea. So there's a neat animation that happens. You have, a contact sheet being created. So depending how long of a roll you have, you can fill this whole screen, which looks really nice. And then as you can see, as the images are transferring, they start from being kind of like negatives to positives, which looks really neat. And then the images are being transferred from the camera to my phone. You can see the transfer of films completed. So they're automatically transferred to my camera roll, but I can go in and have a look at them into the app itself. Now, if I wanted to transfer single images, I can do so. They will come up on the screen, and then I can go through. You can see my 2-in-1 from before. I can go and transfer it. So it's going to be transferred from the camera to my phone, and then it's been saved into my photos, but also in the app. So let's go and disconnect Wi-Fi from the camera, and then you can see my images. So you can display them as a gallery or albums. So I have my singles album, I have my 2-in-1 album, my film album as well. So if I click on the last one that I transferred, I have, my roll, my contact sheet is there, and then I can go in and zoom on it and then look at the various images. I can tap on it if I want to see the single image. And then I can also share it directly from the app. So I can go and click on it. I can make it square or the original. If I select square, I can choose whether I want to crop it or have it fit. And if I have it set to fit, I can choose the background color, so whether it's black or white. And then let's say I want to have it like that with the white background. And then I want to share it, so I can click on done, and then it will bring a dialog allowing me to share it on various social media sites or share it via text messages or pretty much any way you could think of, whether it's AirDrop, Messenger, Instagram, and so on. Now also from this screen, I can print directly to an Instax printer, so I can choose whether it's the link wide or the mini link. So let's say I'm going to use the mini link. So it's going to open up the mini link app, and then it's going to import it into the app. So then I can connect a printer. So it's paired. And I need to put some film in it, but from that point, I can actually go ahead and print that image. And then I can simply go back into my X-Half app and then keep going. Now you have, like I said, the 2-in-1 photo album, so you can, review it, zoom on it, and same thing, you can share or print to an Instax, wide link or mini link printer. Now, lastly, on the app, something I really enjoy is being able to create two-in-ones from all of the images that I have, in my singles album. So I can simply click on the two-in-one. I will click on to the left image, and then I can scroll. And then I have a lot of photos here, but I could choose, this one, right? And then I can press on the right, so you can see please assign right image. And then I can choose the other one. And then I can also customize those two-in-ones. So I can go in and mirror the image, like that. And then I can go and customize the dividing line, very similar to what I had in the camera, but now it's going to be on the app for the one, that's in-app made by choosing the photos you input left and right. So again, I can choose the width of the dividing line. I can choose the color, whether it's black or white. And then I can choose the type. Again, I have the 4 same types that are found in the camera. And then at that point, I can click done, and then it's going to merge it, and then it becomes part of my two-in-one album, and it's going to be saved into my Photos app, or I can simply go from there and then share it just like the singles that we've seen at before, whether it's Instax print or share through the various messaging or social media. Now, if I scroll down, like I said, I can review previous film rolls. So you see one here that's very much populated. I did go through the whole roll for this one. And at that point, again, I can go and write a description. So if I wanted to input, the activity that it was, so biking with the family, just one, right? So I have that done. And then again, I can navigate, and then I can select specific images that I wanted to share. So let's say I'm going to click on this one right here, and then I can look at it, I can share, and I can print from there. And then we have other sections, so like the contact sheet album. So all of my contact sheets are there if I wanted to share it on social media, or again, just as a text message, or to have it on my computer using the same process basically as the singles, the two-in-ones, and so on. So Instax print, share directly, same way. And then I don't have any slideshow movies, but that's where you would have your slideshow movie albums displayed. Now, going back into the menu, you can do a couple of things. You can firmware update your camera if there is one available. You can change the theme. So I personally like to have it dark, or you can have it just to whatever your device is set to. I personally leave it to dark. You also have access, in that menu to quick start guides that will help you, basically do the same thing I've been doing through this whole video, but in the app. So explaining how to work the various modes and things like that. Another thing that could be quite useful is having the user manual. So you have a link directly to the user manual. So when you click there, you get brought to the website where you have access to the user manual. Now, the Fujifilm X half can print directly to a compatible Instax link printer, so it's very simple to do. So the first thing you have to do is to turn on your link printer, turn on your camera, and then swipe down and then click on pairing. And then just like that, you can see that the Instax, with the SSID has been paired. Now, if it doesn't work, make sure that your X half is not connected to your phone. That could be something that's happening and preventing from connecting to the link. So if it doesn't find it, make sure you have your Bluetooth turned off maybe on your phone, and then you'll see the Instax is going to be paired. And then I can go into my playback menu, and then I can find an image that I want to print. So let's take a two-in-one. So I can click on the menu and then go to Instax Printer Print. I can select this photo. And then if I want it, I can pinch to zoom and reframe. But personally, I do want to keep it like that. I could, turn it around. Let's leave it at that. And then I can press on the printer icon, and then you can see it's talking to the link printer, and then it will send my image to the Instax link printer. So the connection is Bluetooth, so it's not as fast as Wi-Fi, so it will take, a couple of seconds before it gets transferred to the link printer. And then here I have my print that's going to start processing, developing. And then the same process will be applied if I was using a link wide printer, for example. So we'll just have that print start. All right, so that'll be it for this how-to on the Fujifilm X half. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more content about this and other Fujifilm products, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And until next time, c'était Francis pour les Fuji Guys.